Tanzania had just slammed its doors on foreign small-scale traders, outlawing non-citizens from 15 everyday businesses, ranging from mobile money kiosks to tour guiding. Officials in Dar es Salaam said the measure protects local businesses, but across the border, Kenyans are outraged. Thousands of their traders now face fines, jails, or deportation, all in a region that claims to guarantee freedom of movement under the East African Community. But this isn't just a Kenyan-Tanzania dispute. It's part of a deeper crisis tearing Africa from within. From Ghana's $1 million levy that forced Nigerian shops to close, to South Africa's campaign demanding locals only in township markets, protectionist wars are rising fast and the Pan-African dreams are crumbling. In this episode, we unpack why African countries keep turning on each other, how weak regional blocs and ineffective leadership allows it to happen, and why speeding up the African Continental Free Trade Area might be our only real way out of poverty and foreign dependence. Tanzania's July 2025 decree didn't just come out of nowhere. It's part of a growing wave of government-led protectionism spreading across Africa. Authorities argue that foreign traders are overwhelming the informal economy and driving down prices, pointing fingers at Chinese wholesalers and Kenyan tour operators. Under the new law, violators now face hefty fines, prison terms, and deportations. In Dar es Salaam, the move is being praised as economic liberation, echoing the nationalist playbook of the Magufuli years. But the reaction from Kenya has been swift. Officials there are threatening retaliatory measures, reminding Tanzania that over 250,000 Kenyans work in its mining, hospitality, and service sectors. Across East Africa, many are voicing frustration. How can Tanzanians freely run businesses in Nairobi, yet Kenyans get blocked in Dar es Salaam? The EAC Common Market, designed to guarantee free movement of people, goods, and capital, now feels more symbolic than real. This isn't the first clash. In recent years, Tanzania has blocked Kenyan dairy, eggs, and biscuits under similar protectionist policies. Every new restriction weakens the vision of a united East African Federation and feels cynicism that these regional agreements are just talks with no teeth. As government tighten borders and rewrite the rules of who can trade where, we are left asking, is this really about protecting jobs or just about looking tough ahead of the October 2025 elections? When countries shut each other out, it's not just treaties that suffer, it's ordinary traders, market women, and cross-border hustlers who pay the price. And every new barrier makes the dream of African unity feel further away. Now let's swing west to Ghana, where Nigerian traders have faced waves of closure since 2018, all because of one law. Foreigners must invest at least $1 million before opening a shop, even if it's just to sell Milo. Backed by the chance of Ghana First, market unions backlogged over 250 Nigerian old stores, turning Kwame Nkrumah's circle into a diplomatic battlefield. Abuja protested, warning Accra was breaking ECOWAS free movement rules. But Ghana didn't stop, claiming local traders were being squeezed out by richer foreign competition. But this clash runs deeper than headlines. Ghana-Nigeria trade tensions dates back to colonial cocoa rivalries and the 1969 Aliens Compliance Order, which expelled over 2 million migrants. Decades later, not much has really changed. ECOWAS talks free trade, but border officers still take bribes and bans appear overnight. Its market exists, but only on paper. Every time a store shuts, suspicion grows, xenophobia creeps in, states retreat into protect your own politics, and the AfCFTA's vision of a 1.3 billion people market takes another hit. Here is the brutal truth. When one country builds a $1 million wall around its market, others start planning tariffs, visa bans, or mass deportations. West Africa's passport-free zone quickly becomes a mirage. Trade bans aren't the only thing fracturing African unity. Deportations are just as damaging and far more personal. In May 2025, Tanzanian authorities detained Kenyan activists and Ugandan journalists during a political trial in Dar es Salaam. Both were later dumped at the border, sparking outrage over claims of mistreatment and torture. Kenya's parliament protested, but President William Ruto publicly apologized to Tanzanians in both Swahili and English, trying to ease the tensions. But the damage was done, and it wasn't the first time. In 2017, Kenya blocked Tanzanian tour vans. In 2018, Tanzania retaliated by auctioning off Kenyan chicks over a poultry dispute. Each incident sends the same message. Regional rules are optional when politics get heated. And it shows. Only 27% of East Africans say they trust the EAC to protect their rights. Meanwhile, Europe, shaped by war and division, built free movement into its foundation. With one ID card, EU citizens can live and work across 27 countries. African blocs copied these treaties, but not the enforcement. No recourse, no fines, no consequences. Until the African Union and regional economic bloc members are ready to give supranational bodies real authority, the circle will continue. Deportations, retaliations, and quiet exits from unity deals. Investors notice, citizens lose faith, and African integration becomes just another promise no one believes. But what exactly is fueling this wave of economic nationalism, you might ask? Analysts point to rising youth unemployment, election pressure, and the lingering scars of the pandemic. Leaders promise quick fixes, ban foreigners, reserve small jobs for citizens, and watch poverty disappear. But reality tells a different story. In both Ghana and South Africa, protectionist crackdowns produced few new jobs and instead pushed up food prices as supply chains broke down. Worse still, these tit-for-tat policies are choking Africa's trade with itself. Intra-African trade sits below 17%, while Europe moves at 68% and Asia at 59%. Ironically, the AfCFTA, launched in 2021 to eliminate 97% of tariffs, could change all that. It has the potential to lift over 110 million people out of poverty, but it only works if countries trust each other and align their rules. When Tanzania shuts out Kenyan saloons or Ghana blocks Nigerian electronics, they send a clear message. Nationalism comes before solidarity. Pan-African giants like Kwame Nkrumah warned us about this trap. Yet, today's politicians still play the nationalist card to win votes, ignoring how fragmented markets empower outsiders. The result? Africa exports cocoa but imports chocolate, ships gold but refines nothing, sends out lithium but buys back batteries at full prices. Economic nationalism may feel patriotic, but in practice, it deepens dependency and keeps Africa at the bottom of the value chain. The European single market isn't perfect. Brexit proved that exclusion breeds backlash, but the EU still offers valuable lessons. Integration didn't start with grand visions. It began with coal and steel, focused, enforceable cooperation before expanding to passports, open borders, and a shared currency. The real difference? Brussels has teeth. The European Court of Justice can find member states that break the rules. African treaties, by contrast, often lack enforcement. EU tribunals exist, but they don't scare anyone. Too many African leaders copy EU institutions but skip the part where power is actually shared. Experts say AfCFTA's dispute panel must grow into a real appellate court, one with real authority to stop illegal trade bans before they spread. Europe also proved that integration survives when it redistributes gains. Billions in cohesion funds go to poorer EU states to cushion shocks and balance benefits. Africa needs the same. Adjustment funds, buy by Afreximbank and AFDB, could ease revenue losses and support diversification if leaders led them. And finally, Europe sells unity to its citizens. From public debate to Erasmus exchanges, the EU built emotional buy-in. Africa hasn't. If the EU and regional blocs can deliver cheaper flights, seamless payments, or jobs across borders, people will keep cheering nationalism and ignoring integration. Because at the end of the day, unity only works when it's felt, not just signed. The African Union turns 62 next May, but to many, it's still just a debating club with 5-star hotels. Grand visions like Agenda 2063 sound inspiring, but progress stalls under overlapping regional blocs, weak funding, and leaders unwilling to give up even a sliver of their sovereignty. Take the AU's visa-free campaign. Launched years ago, it has barely made any meaningful progress. As of now, only Rwanda, Benin Republic, Gambia, Seychelles, and Ghana allow full African access. Meanwhile, Sahel transitions and ECOWAS walkout expose just how fragile regional unity really is. If this continues, the AfCFTA risks becoming another shiny document with no impact. Experts are clear. Real change means real actions. Digitize cargo tracking to stop bribe-heavy checkpoints. Post AU trade monitors at border hotspots. Approve a single standard for professional licenses so doctors, engineers, and builders can work continent-wide. Most importantly, speak with one voice. The EU negotiated and secured a vaccine at a discount. Africa bargained as 55 and paid more. That's the cost of disunity. If the EU can't resolve disputes like the Tanzania versus Kenya quickly and transparently, individual states will keep making rogue decisions. and the whole idea of African integration will keep losing credibility. The question isn't whether unity is a good idea. The question is whether the AU has the authority, the resources, and the political courage to turn its promises into power. There is still a path forward. The AfCFTA Secretariat in Accra has kicked off a guided trade initiative linking 39 countries in real cross-border shipments. The system is already reducing dollar dependence by letting traders settle in local currencies. Kenya and Rwanda have dropped visa requirements for all Africans, a small but powerful step towards a long-promised AU passport. Even Tanzania's ban, as damaging as it seems, could serve as a wake-up call. It's a chance for the EAC, ECOWAS, and the AU to finally confront their failure to enforce the rules they wrote themselves. But institutions alone won't fix this. Civil society, diaspora investors, and youth-led tech firms must channel frustration into pressure, demand re-implementation, demand penalties for treaty violations, demand that African integration stops living in PDFs and starts showing up in daily lives. Because this continent, the birthplace of humanity, cannot afford another century as a disjointed marketplace for foreign buyers. Lagos developers should be able to open hubs in Dar es Salaam without red tapes. Uganda coffee should be roasted in Accra duty-free. Ghanaian gold should be refined in Johannesburg, all under unified framework. That future is still possible, but only if our leaders choose unity over short-term applause. Because every time a trader is deported or a shop is shuttered over a passport, another crack splits the dream of Pan-Africanism. The choice is clear: integrate or stagnate, unite or remain poor and divided. This is Frontline Africa. If you value truth unfiltered and power reframed from an African perspective, subscribe, like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I am EAC Energeter. See you in the next one.